Hi, I'm Katie.
Hey, I'm Dave.
Welcome to the very first episode of our new show, which is going to be exploring all things yoga. And today we're going to look at why do we roll to the right side at the end of Shavasana, our relaxation pose.
Yeah.
So that will be our topic for today. And these videos, which will also be available as podcasts, will be released regularly.
Yeah.
So what we're going to be exploring is hopefully questions that come up in our yoga class. And so if you've got questions yourself, we'd love to hear from you. And so I'm guessing topics would be things like postures,
breathing,
alignment,
meditation,
anatomy,
philosophy,
physiology and history. So anything yoga based.
Anything yoga based. And with leaving the comments, don't forget, if you're asking a question, you can leave it in the comments below.
So the intent behind us putting together this show was to, I guess it really builds on what we do as teachers and our focus as yoga teachers, to talk about the why, the reasons behind doing certain things in our yoga class.
And to empower you with the knowledge, because if you've got the knowledge, then it makes more sense why you do certain things, and that when you apply it in your own practice, and it makes you, you're the guru. Your mind, your body's the student, and it's important that you, if you're practicing yoga, sort of have that attitude to learning.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's really important to be a discerning practitioner and know how to tailor the practice to suit however you are on any given day. And so perfect to listen to these podcasts as a yoga student. Also, we offer teacher training as well. So, and our focus in teacher training, again, is to empower students to find their own authentic voice by really explaining the why behind things.
So, the question
is, why do we roll to the right side after Shavasana?
Yeah, but before we get started, if you're interested or think this is something you could have value from, then please like and subscribe when you're down just underneath the video there. Don't forget too, if you want to be reminded when a new show comes on, then just click the little bell as well and the notification comes up. And just a quick reminder again, and I won't mention this again, but the podcast is in the link below.
So to answer this question, we need to unpack some of the yogic physiology and also talk about Western physiology a little bit as well. So the physiology is what we're made up of it. And in a Western sense, it's been developed through working a lot with cadavers, dissecting bodies and seeing what's inside of us. In a yogic sense, it was developed more through meditation and introspection, looking in and feeling what's going on. So they're quite different ways of explaining pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, and neither way is either good or bad. It's just different, but quite often it comes to the same outcome. It's amazing the number of times.
Yeah, that's what we really love, is when we can see the linkage between the two.
Yeah.
So one of the key things in yogic physiology is the nadis. So nadis are lines of energy in the body which prana, the life force, flows through. And as a yogi, we are trying to remove blockages within these nadis to enable free flowing energy to help prevent dis-ease.
So if we took the word nadi from Sanskrit, what would the English translation come into?
Tube or channel.
Awesome.
Yeah,
cool. Hindu literature tells us there's 72,000 of these tubes or channels in the body for the energy and the life force to flow through. Of that 72,000, they talk about 14 as being principal. But the ones that yoga concerns themselves is with only three. Three main nadis.
They are Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna. So it's interesting. Modern yoga teachers will often liken the nadis to fascia, which is connective tissue. It's like a web through the body. And if you see pictures of nadis, they're like a web through the body. So the fascia is often described as being nadis. And interestingly, the fascia surrounds the nervous system as well. So there's actually a stream of communication between the nervous system and the fascia. So we can think about these two parts of our being as being these nadis. And so the three main nadis that Dave mentioned, the first one, Ida, it's said to represent the female qualities of nature. So think of anything cooling or introverted. It's often called Chandra Nadi, represented by the moon. So Chandra means moon. And then Pingala is the masculine qualities of nature. So anything active or extroverted, it is often called Soira Nadi, after the sun. So the idea of our yoga practice is to balance these two polar energies within us. And when these two polar energies are balanced, that is when Sushumna, the main nadi, is able to flow freely with energy, and we can get into deeper meditative states and have more aha moments as well. So interestingly, our nadis and our nostrils relate to each other as well. So you might have heard of the practice Nadi Shodhana, which is alternate nostril breathing. So it's Nadi, we've been talking about nadis, and Shodhana, which means to cleanse and purify. So it's cleansing Ida and Pingala, the feminine and the masculine nadis. And for the technique, we're breathing out and then in through one nostril, and then we switch sides, breathing out and in through one nostril. And we don't necessarily block the nose completely when we do it. We just leave it partially open. So we're regulating the flow of the breath through each nostril. So we're breathing evenly through each side. You can practice this technique with us on our website. We've got classes you can subscribe to. There's a couple of on Nadi Shodhana on there.
Yep. And there'll be a link below where you can actually access those. It is a gateway subscription model. However, there's much more than just a couple of Nadi Shodhana exercises.
Yeah, there's lots of practices on there. So the left nostril, as we were saying, if we were just to breathe in through the left nostril, and that would be working with Ida.
Yeah.
And Ida is the feminine qualities of nature, so it would have a very cooling, soothing, calming effect. Interestingly, this is where it links in with the nervous system, and breathing through the left nostril works at stimulating the parasympathetic nervous system, which is our relaxation response. And so if we breathe through the right side, in contrast, we're working with Pingala, which would be heating, energizing, activating, quite a stimulating breath. And we're working with the sympathetic nervous system from a Western viewpoint, which is the fight and flight branch of the nervous system. So you can see how we start to get that overlay of yogic physiology and Western physiology. So our nostrils are really linked in with our nervous system dominance. And I also think this is quite interesting because we're working with the nervous system, and that also links into that idea we talked of earlier, where the nadis are potentially, from a modern viewpoint, the fascia, the connective tissue, which then is connected with the nervous system. So it gives us a Western slant of perhaps what the yogis were feeling happening in their body.
Yeah. And it's kind of interesting, the fascia, that it shows a way that one part of the body can communicate with another part of the body if you hadn't actually thought about pathways and that sort of thing. So yeah.
So there's another really interesting practice called Padadhirasana, which is a breath balancing pose. It balances the breath between the left and the right nostrils. So we use a hand or a fist, or sometimes you might see people using a danda, which is a crutch, and that creates pressure under the armpit, which will then open the opposite nostril.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So what we're talking about is the opposite armpit. That's what you just said, the opposite nostril?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So if you put your, so maybe you've noticed this phenomenon when you've had a cold and you're in bed and you're lying, say on your left nostril, you're lying on your face down.
Yeah, on the pillow. Yeah. I love it. That's great.
You're lying on your left side, and your right nostril opens.
Yeah.
And I always used to think as a little kid that was because of gravity.
Well, that's logical.
Yeah.
But if it's not gravity, what is it?
It's a reflex response. So the pressure under the armpit opens that other
Wow,
nostril.
learn something new every day.
So this really brings us back to our question of why do we roll to the right side in Shavasana?
Yep.
So if we're rolling onto the right side, we get that pressure on the right armpit. It's going to open the left nostril. Yep. The left nostril is Ida, and it relates to our parasympathetic nervous system, our relaxation response. So we come out of Shavasana feeling really nice and calm and relaxed.
Yeah. Do you have to stay there any longer to get maximum benefit from that? Or?
Yeah, the time I find personally, the longer you're there, the more clearer the nostrils become.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. So if you found something useful or something that you piqued your interest or something
maybe
like
you've
that.
learned something new.
Yeah, exactly. Learned something new. Then please, do like and subscribe.
It helps us to reach more people.
Yeah, and if you know someone who might enjoy it, then also, recommend this channel to them.
So hopefully from the discussion, we've pulled in some information from yogic and Western physiology and demonstrated that even though the language of yoga can be quite flowery at times with terms like masculine and feminine, sun and moon, it's totally relevant, and we can see how it applies from a Western viewpoint as well. So they're just a different way of explaining the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it feels like there's one of those rabbit holes you could just keep going down and going down, particularly when we're talking about nadis and
there's a lot more we could discuss about this topic. So we may in the future, not straight away, but we may do follow-up podcasts and videos on this. So if you have any questions, pop them down below so we can specifically answer them too.
Yeah, absolutely. We hope you've enjoyed your first episode. It's New Year's Day, so Happy New Year, everybody. It's a really good time to start moving your practice forward here and taking on board, like empowering yourself to really get the knowledge for yoga. All the links to anything that we've discussed will be in the description down below. And if you're still with us, once again, please like and subscribe and follow the links to the online classes and perhaps leave a question or comment. Thank you so much,
Thanks, guys.
Bye.